and like you said, Dussex, like what effect will this have on the big manufacturers' participation in the race itself? Like, does now this official time that is not an official race time then take significance away from the official race? I don't know. And then by the cost being so prohibitive, then now it's then the plus side to me is now you have the, I mean, what they're effectively trying to do, and I've seen reference to this, is they're turning, they want to make Pikes Peak the American equivalent of the Nurburgring. And because like there's so many cars that set a time on the Nurburgring, and like that has become the measuring stick for so many cars. I mean, think about how many official time, like Subaru, they went out there with their time attack STI or the Isle of Man STI, set this new four-door production record production. But it's this record at the Nurburgring because that has such a storied history. I mean, it's such a measuring stick for performance vehicles, and they want Pikes Peak to now possibly be that. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Flatirons Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. This show is brought to you by Flatirons Tuning, your source for any aftermarket or OEM Subaru parts. Be sure to check out our store at flatironstuning.com and stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning. Well, how about we kick it off and we'll just get this ball rolling.
What's up, YouTube?
Welcome back, everybody.
Good morning.
Or as Tasso says, what's up, YouTube? To the Flatirons Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. This is episode number 99, one away from 100. We've got Dussex and Tasso joining us, and we've got a new face to the podcast and kind of a new face to the shop here. This is Mike, who, if you've called in, you might have talked to him on the phone, but he's not a new face to the Subaru community, and so wanted to kind of start bringing him in on the podcast here. So, I don't know, maybe Mike, just a quick introduction, kind of your background in the Subaru community, and then we'll just take off from there.
Oh man, no pressure.
No.
Well, obviously my name is Mike. I am a beard mostly that just happens to have a human that lives inside of it.
Yep.
I've been dealing with Subarus since like the 2000s when the WRX came out. Going to track days and such back in the old days. At Second Creek Raceway.
In what car?
Well, at the time, I owned a GMC Typhoon that never made it onto track, but in 06, I bought my 04 Forester and then proceeded to hoon the ever-living everything out of it.
You can say poop on here. It's okay.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the family-friendly terms were, so I figured everything is good.
The explicit seal usually,
the family.
Yeah, it usually gets broken pretty quickly on.
Fuck.
So. Oh,
there it
no.
is. There it is.
Geez.
There it is.
Oh, my ears.
Yep.
But yeah, I've been an enthusiast, and I've known John for a long time, and we go back OG all-wheel drive Pirates.
Yep.
And when the opportunity came to join the team, I was like, oh heck yeah, I have to do this. And it's a riot. I've done some interesting things with my Forester, doing the 6-speed swap way back in the day and adding the Brembos and the front mount and all the cool go fast stuff that all the kids are like, I want to do that. It's like, no, it's soul crushing when someone with a brand new car with a warranty can just knock your doors off.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not enough fast Foresters out there, and we're glad to have you on the team, and yeah, it's going to be interesting having your insight. And like I said, folks, if you've been calling in, you probably have talked to Mike because he's kind of taking the front lines on the phone. So help put a face to the voice, as it were, or a beard face to the beard.
Yes.
Beard to the voice. Yeah,
Beard,
that's what it
beard
is.
to the voice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well,
So are you going to be the fastest Flatirons tuning employee now that Scotty's gone and Nigel and stuff like that?
We're going to try.
Ooh,
I mean, who else has good times in there right now?
Dang.
nobody. Wow, Tasso.
just throws it down there. He's like, and gauntlet.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a racing show, right? So
that is true.
Yeah.
gotta
All right.
talk about racing.
Well, we'll find out then, won't we? We're going to have to go to the track and settle this like, I don't know, people in Fast
Children.
and Furious movies.
Like
Oh.
platypuses do.
Yes.
Race wars.
Yes, race wars. So I got to get a spoon engine and somehow find out how to put it in my Subaru.
I've already
That's
got
my
parts
plan
coming
now.
overnight from Japan, so you
Oh.
guys better watch out.
Okay. Yes.
Good.
Well, and right at the beginning here too, Dussex and Tasso wanted to just kind of check in with you guys because it's been a couple weeks. I guess especially Tasso, since we've had you on, to kind of see what you've been up to, because both of you been making some moves here lately. Who wants to go first? Okay, Tasso,
Am I below you on your
you're
screen?
below me.
Oh,
Yes.
it's like
You're
You're
below
over here
me,
for me.
but I'm going to
Yeah.
point up because that's probably where it's going to come through, because I can never, where it looks on the screen now versus the capture, it's not the same. It's
Okay.
very frustrating.
Anyways, what has been going on with me? Mostly I've been working a lot. I got to afford this race car build.
Yep.
So at my actual job, I've been trying to pull overtime and bolster the pocketbook a little bit. I do have a chassis finally. I went back and forth. I think the last time we podcasted, I was still on the GC train pretty
Yep.
hard. But you know what? Those cars are just too ugly. So I
Wow.
gotta blah by
Shots
again.
fired.
So
yeah.
yeah, no, it's all in good fun. I was actually really excited to do a GC, but I don't know. It's something I was just talking to someone about yesterday. Is like everyone wanted a ton of money for those things.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're starting to pick up some cult value or something like that. I guess all Subarus are too expensive in Colorado. But I found myself a 04, totally straight, rust-free. Well, totally straight other than someone cut the upper core support off already. They were going to switch the headlights on it.
Oh,
But I still have the blah by core support, so I'm just going to slap that back on real quick. But $300 for the chassis, I couldn't pass that up. So,
Whoa.
that's a good
and then
good
he
place to
wants
start.
it's a sunroof car, and he wants to buy the sunroof skin back from me for a couple $100 is what he said. So
So
we're
you're
gonna
get
do
this
a
like
free car.
393 at the end.
remember that podcast we had about could you build a race car for less than $1 billion?
Yep.
Yes, you can build one for less than $1,000. So
It's not there yet. That's not caged, right?
no. And so I know I'm talking out my ass. Yeah, I still got a long ways to go. Shit, I just finally got it. I had to make room in my garage, throw a bunch of old shit out and stuff like that, and finally got it into the garage yesterday evening. And then I started kind of poking around it and remembering all the stuff I'd done to the red car and how many years it took to do all that. So, but it's good. We'll get dug into it, and I got
Nice.
good plans for it. It's going to be like I've been saying all along, lighter, better, faster, stronger in every way. So
I think when you're in here this week, you mentioned that there's a lot of spot weld drilling in your future.
yeah, I got to pull that roof skin off,
Yeah.
which will be nice from a financial side of giving him the roof back or selling the roof back to the guy I got the car from. And then Ryan mentioned he's got because he went lightweight on his roof, so I got to put another roof back on it. Hopefully I can still snag that roof from you.
Why not just go convertible?
Oh.
I mean, because that seems like
Vert.
taking the roof off and not
Vert
putting
life.
it back on. Yeah.
Rules.
Rules.
I mean, it's not like
They're made to be
open wheel
broken.
cars have roofs.
Who doesn't have roofs?
Open wheels.
I don't know. The open
Oh
wheels.
yeah, they got halos and stuff now. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
Aerodynamically, it's a shit show not to have a roof on a Subaru.
You're probably right there. Yeah.
And
You could be a
also
pioneer.
rules.
This could
Yeah.
be a thing.
Rules.
Well, and the other interesting part about your decision to go with the GD, just maybe we don't have to go too deep into it, but it came in part down to having a title, right? You needed
Yeah.
to have a car with a title.
Yeah. There were some cheap GCs out there with no title, which is, for even though I'm not doing stage rally right now, it's a rally class hill climb car. We don't require that kind of stuff.
Right.
But the goal with this one is to make it stage rallyable if I wanted, and part of that is needing to have plates and a title. And the goal, the plan is actually to compete even in the hill climbs with license plates and wipers and headlights and stuff on the car. So I have this, I don't know what starshot dream right now of driving the car to an event, winning overall, and then driving it home. So
Interesting.
That'd be pretty awesome.
Just to show those open wheel guys what's up. So
yeah,
I don't know.
that'd be cool. But that is going to be tough. But you have to have a title so you can register, put plates on it. So
yep,
good place to start.
Yeah. So right, clean title, clean car, a lot of work to do. So
Nice.
and then everything else needs work too. We've been trying to clean up around the house, which takes forever. I gotta put all new steering on my truck. So,
Yeah.
it's not just race cars that take your time in life, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
That is a thing.
Yeah.
Well, Dussex, you were just out at La Junta. Was it last weekend? I don't
Yep.
even know what's
Yep.
happening with time anymore. And before that,
it's like my background. It's a blur.
the blur. We've gone to Plaid. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But before that, weren't you in, was it Kansas?
Heartland Park, yeah.
Yeah. So you've been, I think since we've caught up with you, you've been to Kansas and La Junta. So how did that go?
Well, I think I'm going to start off right up front saying that this is the first time I bought new tires was for Heartland. We had and it was Grid Life Heartland. Just before that at Alpine Horizon Fest, some of you may or may not know that I did an excellent job smashing my windshield in. So I got a fresh windshield and fresh tires for Heartland. I figured one's got to bring the other, I guess, right? You get new tires as often as you get windshields, hopefully not more often. But yeah, so I started with this brand new tire that Scott Musgrove was telling me about, the Yokohama A055. Have you guys heard of that tire at all?
No,
I've not.
It's a new slick that they came out with that is a 40 tread wear tire. So it's like supposed to be somewhere between the Hoosier R7 and A7, I'm guessing, in temperature range. Like, I don't know anything about these tires. I couldn't really find much about these tires. They didn't even have stickers on them. So,
really?
so there's a lot
they weren't
of
even sticker slicks.
They weren't even sticker slicks.
Wow.
It's pretty interesting. I think the tires themselves were like actually molded in like the beginning of 2021, and they were in stock, but they don't have very many tire sizes. But the tires were, I don't know. For me, I bought 275s thinking that would fit. Like doing like all my readings and stuff, and thinking like, oh man, these are going to be sick. They're barely just a little bit bigger than the 265 AO52s I'm on right now. I got plenty of room. These tires were huge. These 275/35s were just massive. And I got a picture of them against, like, on the ground next to the 265 Pirellis, which are historically large. Yeah. And they're like a good 20 millimeters wider than those tires. They were big. They didn't mount a much like super, super big, which is kind of nice. But because of my paranoia, I ended up, now that I have two sets of wheels, I have the RCT5s, which are like an 18 by 10 plus 20. And then I have my RCT4s that came with a car that are 18 by 9.5 plus like 22 or something. I don't know, something silly, plus 30. And so I actually had to run the staggered wheels to get the tire shoulder to pull around enough to not cut too bad into the bodywork. Wow. Because I didn't want to raise it. Because who wants to? Tasso, do you want to race cars? Nope. No, so I didn't want to raise. I didn't want to raise the car either. So I went to I ran 9.5s in the rear. They kind of like squared the shoulder or rolled the shoulder down. Went in the first session. They were rubbing, but not. I took it easy out there, kind of leaning on the car to make sure they weren't cutting the tires. And I had those backup AO52s that Gord gave me just in case. And they were rubbing, but not too bad. And so we sent it. And by the end of the weekend, I think I was 15th fastest overall out of 88 cars. Wow. With I was in the same zip code as Josh Halka, which I think is pretty cool. I think he ran like a 41.196, and I ran a 41 like 807 or something like that, or 141 for those. We always drop these stupid first ones out, but that track is sick though. That track is a light brake track. There's only like one heavy braking zone. It's fast. It's got big fun swoops, blind corners, real unconventional line. It was just a riot of a track. Wow. I had a great time with it. And like 9 other Colorado guys went out to participate too, a bunch for my RMTT group. So we had like Trey Tyler, who's been on the podcast, Brian Oglesby in his BMW, Rich Enriquez with a Supra, Jeffrey West also with the Subaru. Nick and Savannah were both there racing in that GLTC. Corey Ross was there with his N3. It was just like, it was a gaggle of us out there. A buddy of mine, Trip, with the Corvette, brought a C8 out, like a stock
Oh.
C8. Everyone had a great time. It was a sick event.
That's awesome.
Beautiful facility. Track was amazing. Like everything was good.
How far of a drive was it?
It's 500 miles. I think
Okay.
from PPIR, it's like 540 miles. So about, I
Okay.
think I stopped in Lyman and picked up Tripp's Corvette and loaded it into my trailer. And because now I can tow 2 cars now. Thank you,
the
Tripp.
trailer's back. Yeah.
Trailer's back in action. And so, yeah, I trailered. So stopping and picking his car up and loading it in the trailer and loading all his stuff, I think it only took us 10 hours to get there. So it really wasn't
Nice.
bad at all.
And that was not like going crazy fast on the highway.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No, I anybody would follow me would go crazy. But, yeah, we didn't have to stop for fuel the whole time. So that's how we kind of keep up with the group. But yeah, I think I probably average like 65 miles an hour, maybe. I don't go super, super fast. I'll roll fast. If we're going downhill, I got 81 mile an hour tires on that thing. I use it.
Oh man.
But yeah, most of the time you're pulling, you're going maybe like 65, 70 at best. So,
Okay. Well, that's awesome. And then at La Junta, you set a new personal best as well. Now on the same tires, the AO 55s?
yeah, so I started with the AO52s, mostly because I'm trying to save these AO55s for Button Willow, which is in 2 weeks. And so I was trying to save those tires up a little bit.
That's the end of year. It's not Super Light Battle, but it's through Global.
Yep, it's Global Time Attack Finals. Yep.
Somehow I did not realize I was 2 weeks away. I thought it was like months away.
Yeah, it's not months away. It's
right.
November 10th or something like that.
It's the first full weekend, or I guess second full weekend.
Second
of November.
weekend.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a weekend right after SEMA.
I lost track of time there again.
It's that blur.
I know, blur.
Times,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
relative,
blur.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I went on the AL52. So my previous best time there in the yellow car, which was the beginning of the year, was a 55.3. And so on the AL52s in the first 2 sessions, I got it down to like a 54.4 or something crazy like that. And I was like, this is sick. This is insane. But I corded both my front tires like bad. Sorry, Gord.
Oh.
They were awesome. But so, I mean,
Wow.
used AL52s were like worth almost a whole second. And then I put the A005s on and scrubbed them in on the last session of the day, mostly to get like my tire pressure set. And then went out and ran like a 53.8. So already
Wow.
I was like or a 53.9 or something, already in the hunt for one of the faster cars. Brian Oglesby went out in his BMW 135. And he's on 315 or 305 CR, like the Nanking CRSs.
Mhm.
And he ran a 53.8 in the beginning of the weekend and just wasn't able to break that. And so when I was at a 53.8, we're like, all right, so who's got who right now? And then went out that morning, wasn't able to really get much faster in the morning session because it was substantially colder. I mean, it was probably like 45, 50 degrees when we went out there. Went out the second session, and then laid down I would say like a stupid fast 53.3. Like to me, it's the only car I've actually really seen go faster was Ben Council. Ben Council had at the time a 900 horsepower twin turbo C5 vet, full like aero, but amateur aero, but full aero on Hoosiers, and he ran like a 51.9 or something like that. So I was super pumped to get into that deep in the 53s for sure.
And we should clarify both of these times and races that you're talking about. This is you taking out the yellow car, the yellow SCI, which still is basically effectively a stock spec C 207 engine. And so like you're not making crazy power. This is
nope. Yeah, so just for a comparison, so it's roughly, so supposedly those cars made 325 at the crank. That's what they were like average. That's what that car was advertised at when it was in race trim.
Mhm.
So it's probably not the same engine or whatever, clearly not with the tune, but so it's probably around 260 wheel with where we have it set with the boost controller right now. So unverified, we waited at Grid Life and it came in with me a little over 2,900 pounds. So, 260 wheel, 2,900 pound Subaru, which is pretty light for a GD with somebody, this
somebody in it.
stature, in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a lot of
really
beard.
this
A lot of
natural.
beard.
This.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of beer. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that too.
Yeah. Yeah. But so yeah, to go out there and like at Heartland and be as close as I was to some of those front runners, it was super awesome. Like I was super jazzed by it, and you know, it was still fifth place in Unlimited, but you have Ferris and a lot of really crazy cars. But to put it also into a fair comparison, Ferris was 11 seconds faster than me, and the second place guy, Jackie Ding, who everybody knows, he ran a 1:35, so he was 14 seconds faster, or not. What is, I don't know, 7 seconds faster than me.
Can't math
So that's
on,
pretty.
on camera. Yeah.
Not
Can't
on
math
Fridays.
on camera.
Yeah.
Not on the cameras. Yeah. But Dewey's time, I think Dewey had car issues, but Dewey's time.
That
Dewey's time was
Dussex-
so good that he froze Dussex.
stop time. That's impressive. Oh no. Is he gonna come back?
Come back.
Oh dear.
back.
No.
Oh no.
That's it.
We might have lost him. Might have
I think-
lost him.
Southern Colorado just dropped its whole internet service.
Oh
Could be.
no. We sucked him into the vortex of time.
Yeah.
Wow.
We
Yeah.
threw so many numbers.
I could
at
probably
it
make
that
it up
just-
though.
Okay.
I'll fill in for what he was going to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dewey's time he went out there, he ran real good. I think he was having some car trouble, so he was probably a little bit down. But you know, it was always good to see him out there. You know, quite a character, and
Yeah.
you know, it's just a great weekend, really great weekend with all those guys. And
Dussex, are you back?
yeah,
Ugh.
I filled in
something.
for you. I filled in
Yeah.
for you,
Thank
so
you.
you can just
Thank
keep
you.
going. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah. I mean, Tasso nailed it. I mean, it was a great weekend on both accounts between La Junta and
great.
Heartland, doing some fun stuff with the car. I mean, I looked at like records and stuff from NASA just to kind of get an idea. I say NASA, but like NASA for La Junta.
Yeah.
And of all the race classes and stuff and like fendered cars, there's only like 2 or 3 records that are actually faster than my time. So I'd say like out of a whole gamut of stuff, a 53. I mean, I had a guy over here come up to me. He's like, I heard you ran a 53.3 in your Subaru. I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, hats off to you, man. That's crazy fast. I'm like, heck yeah.
That's
So,
awesome. Well,
that's super cool.
I remember you making a post or a comment or something. You said you're getting tired of getting beat on tires. And because you're going through a lot of tires. Tires are crazy expensive and they're consumable. And but it's like a new set of Hoosier slicks. I mean, you're talking probably $1,200 to $1,600 for a set of tires, which okay, or more. And that's like a couple weekends. You get a couple weekends out of that.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it safe to say that you've now seen what a difference, or like you now implicitly know how much of a difference fresh tires make versus tires that have like a handful of heat cycles through them and all that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that I would say that that those AL52s, there was even, or the AL55s, there's even more time in those tires. Like the AL52s that I replaced were in pretty good shape, and then those tires were still like a full second or more faster. You know, and so
Wow.
it is pretty crazy. And one of the people I've been comparing myself to is been Corey Ross. Corey Ross he's been ahead of me. He was ahead of me all year last year by a couple tenths or half a second or so. So then when I was slipping back like 2 seconds or a second and a half behind Corey, I was like, man, these tires are just killing me. Like it's really hurting me. And we went to High Plains and stuff, and it was kind of the same thing. And I was buying used tires and things to try and like save some money. But when I went back to going to Heartland, I was like 3 seconds faster than Corey with the new tires.
Wow.
You know, so it was like to me, I mean, it's a new track for me too, but I feel like I picked it up pretty quick. It's very reminiscent of the Ridge and like NCM, where it's not a lot of heavy braking zones and a lot of kind of like I would call it non-traditional lines where you're doing kind of funny stuff, and that seems to suit me well. But yeah, I mean, to be 3 seconds faster than Corey and then a whole second and a half faster than his previous best time at La Junta earlier this year was just awesome. You know, it really made me feel like, okay, like my carrot, now I'm the carrot, you know, now I get to be chased. So
yeah, that's crazy. But it's awesome. And now you just know when you really got to set down a lap time, fresh set of tires. It's not just all talk. They really do work.
They really do work.
Most important modification.
Mm-hmm.
Way more important than driver mod.
Well, I don't know about that.
Ooh, no, yeah.
Well, you can have
gotta-
a good driver mod and bad tires, and it just kind of
yeah,
evens out to like
it
a
evens out. Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
I'm just
Very
trying
cool.
to stir up some hornet's nests.
Oh, we
I'm
got
feeling-
that coming up. Don't worry.
Feeling sassy this morning.
Grr,
Okay.
horneting. Arr,
Yes.
arr, arr.
Well, perfect. Well, let's
Brakes
talk
don't
about
matter.
then let's talk about what I reached out to you guys about yesterday. There's been an announcement that is really interesting from Pikes Peak, which is, up until 3 days ago. Well, no, I guess it's since last year, but they haven't made the official announcement until the 18th of October this month. The only way you could set a time at Pikes Peak was on race day. Now there have been people that have rented the mountain before. Like we know that I think when Loeb did it, he rented the mountain for a day. I want to say that the rumor was that Volkswagen with IDR rented Pikes Peak for 2 days to do 2 full days of testing, where they just had the whole access to the mountain, did testing, but there's no time, there's no official time, because it has to be done on race day. Well, what they've now announced is that is no longer the case. You can work with PPIR, I'm sorry, not PPIR, PPIHC and PPIR, because why not? And that you can actually rent the mountain, but set an official time. Now, what they're saying that this is for is to give more vehicles, more manufacturers the opportunity to basically, log a time, set a time on the mountain, but whenever they want to do it. Now, there's a caveat, and so far this has happened twice. So Lamborghini rented the mountain and Porsche rented the mountain. Lamborghini ran their SUV, the Urus, up and set a time, and then Porsche sent up their new GT3 RS and set a time of like 9 minutes and 56 seconds. But so it's an official time, but it is not an official race time. So that is the difference, is that the race times still stand. So basically, it's effectively an SUV time and a time attack 1 time that are both time attack 2.
So
I think so.
I
think
thought it was
that's what the
time attack
article
1.
said.
Okay. They're both faster than the current race records, which are both held by Reese Millen, because Reese doesn't need to sleep anymore. He just sets records. But they're not official race time. So the race time stands, but now there's an official time. So I thought this was really interesting. What do you guys think? Do you think this is a good thing? Is this a bad thing?
does that mean you're gonna buy us some time on the mountain?
No. I can only imagine how expensive
No.
it is. No.
Yeah.
It's not
I
where the
mean-
team's going to practice or anything. What are you talking about? All us back in the back, we're going to just hop in
I got a
Right.
a
situation
certain
here.
unnamed
Oh,
car.
Oh, look at that!
Double
It's-
teamed.
It's
Oh,
a
God.
straight on attack.
Oh, no.
Get his
Dang, I
face.
don't know what you did, John.
Yeah. So that's my
Apparently-
team principal and my chief engineer, and they're both
Yep.
not happy with what you just said.
Yeah,
I
So-
yeah they're like,
apologize.
fuck around, find out, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Boo, Ramon, I apologize. I'm sorry. It is very offensive. It could be very offensive to some Chihuahuas. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Oh,
All
man.
right. I'm gonna turn my audio off for a second while I sort this out. You guys keep talking.
Okay.
All right, I have an opinion on it. Now that I'm understanding what it says, I think, well, so 2 things. One, I think they have a new program director. I think that's
Yeah.
their title. I'm not exactly sure what the person is, but a new program director. So I wonder if part of that was in the mix. But the other thing that kind of I'm curious about is the financial side of it, because I believe personally, if the Hill Climb Association, their whatever their charity is, if the Hill Climb Association doesn't get money from that mountain rentals, I'm willing to bet that you're going to see a decrease in participation from like the top tier guys. And the reason I say that is, like, think if you're Reese Millen and you invested, it costs so much money for, like, say, Fastar or whatever company is coming in with their cars and all this other stuff to make a run up the mountain, knowing that, man, if you would have just picked a better weekend and rented it, maybe you paid twice as much, but you actually got to go all the way
At
to
the
the
time.
top, and now you have a record that stands versus, nope, you only went up 3/4 of the way,
Perfect example is this year. So good weather all week.
Mm-hmm.
Come up to race day. the weather's terrible and there's fog and everything like that, like nothing, like no records were going to fall. And, there's a whole debate on whether or not the race should have been shortened, whatever. The very next day, Monday, was clear and it was great. Like it was literally just the one day that the race happened to be on, terrible weather, no records. And this race is once a year. And you're literally rolling the dice for a day on the calendar in hopes that the weather is clear. And I mean, I can't tell you the number of times in just our handful of years running. I want to say it's not half, but it's probably 3 to 4 out of actually maybe 4 to 5 of the 12 years that we've ran it, where the course gets shortened or at least half the field doesn't get a dry run. So that makes it like the weather, the mountain itself, it is a huge challenge to get a full run in with good conditions. And now kind of in a way, this probably takes weather largely out of the equation if you want to rent the mountain and set a time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sure there's like mountain availability and stuff like that. And I don't even want to know what it costs. I'm assuming that if you don't use it, you have to probably have your own emergency and all kinds of crazy shit. I'm just assuming that like the amount of effort to rent the mountain is probably extreme. But
Yeah.
That being said, the amount of effort to go up to it is so extreme that I would see that this could potentially hurt the hill climb, in the sense that like before is like, because that's kind of how I feel like, well, you didn't do it at the race. Like, sure, you could go out in like open lapping day and like perfect conditions and go and run whatever you want, and there's not somebody, you're just going off of your aim solo, versus like in a race day where the conditions have to be there. The conditions everybody has, there's a little bit more of a mental challenge on a race,
Mhm.
when stuff is supposed to happen. And I mean, it could be better or worse, but then the hill climb has that extra level of complexity. Now it's just like, oh, I got the record for blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but when did you do it? Like, well, we did it on May 28th. Like, that's not where, like, well, the weather was
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah. Or like
And
June or August, where you can like pick
mhm.
where it's, that it's going to be super warm. You can come in on that day and it's like, oh, clouds are moving in. Well, let's go now. Like you don't have to qualify. You don't have to have a time slot. You go
Shit,
when
you
you
could
want
do
to
it
go.
more than once. You could like
And you can
run
do it
it.
more than once.
You can run it and be like, oh, it was just way too bumpy up in, the whatever. And then you come back and the engineers go in and just like, they're just twisting stuff and marking stuff. And all right, go
Yeah.
back up again, see what happens. And then boom, there it is. I mean, and then
Right.
you found that
Exactly.
magical scenario,
So there's 2 parts of this conversation. One is maybe 3, because there's the cost. Okay, this is not something like, hey, Dussex and Beard and Tasso, let's go rent the mountain and set some times. Like that's probably never going to happen. This is only going to be the big dog manufacturers that are going to have the ability to do this. So that's kind of something. And like you said, Dussex, like what effect will this have on the big manufacturers' participation in the race itself? Like does now this official time that is not an official race time then take significance away from the official race? I don't know. And then by the cost being so prohibitive, then now it's I don't know, it's are they comparable? But then the plus side to me is now you have what they're effectively trying to do, and I've seen reference to this, is they want to make Pikes Peak the American equivalent of the Nurburgring. And because like there's so many cars that set a time on the Nurburgring, and like that has become the measuring stick for so many cars. I mean, think about how many official time, like Subaru, they went out there with their time attack STI or the Isle of Man STI, set this new 4-door production record production. But it's this record at the Nurburgring because that has such a storied history. I mean, it's such a measuring stick for performance vehicles, and they want Pikes Peak to now possibly be that. And that I think is kind of interesting and kind of cool. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. Personally, I think it's dope. I mean, I wish, and I think the reason I say that is because I think it's got another fault. I think if it happens to be a thing where it turns out that like May or July are better months, and people are going and setting those records on better months, and the days are more consistent during those months. There might be pressure from the organization to move the date around a little bit more to maybe try and like target, those nice weekends. The thing I worry about though is like I say worry about, one of the things I think is super cool about the hill climb. For one, it's not easy to get in for anybody, but for the people who are kind of like new to it, or people who are like not the Reese Millens of the world, who are like just us Joe Schmoes just making like a very valiant effort out there. The big players like Reese Millen and Rod Millen when he comes out for special stuff, or the Donahues and just everybody that comes through that just have tons of history. It's kind of fun to be like, shit, I'm doing this with them, and I'm worried. I have worried that you'll lose an element of that as well. I don't know.
All right, so let's. I don't know, Tasso. I think you got basically puppy piled before you could weigh in on this. What is your thought?
It's okay. When you gotta go, and those dogs weren't waiting. So
right.
Anyways, here's what I think. I think the coolest part about Pikes Peak is that it is a 1-day challenge, and you have people that build cars for 2 years to show up, and then they can still get hailed on or snowed on, and it ruins their time. And that's, I think, the interesting thing about that race. Do I care if rich companies keep going out there and doing rich stuff? I don't care. I'm sure those guys were timing themselves before too. I don't think that. I mean, it's not like. I don't think that there's. I got to temper this whole thing, because yes, it's cool that it's technically an expansion in motorsports in Colorado, which I think is the home of motorsports at this point in this country anyways. So,
right.
Is that cool? Yes. My blanket statement about the whole thing? Yes, it's cool. Is it groundbreaking? Is this something special? No. I think if they had test days where they were officially sanctioned throughout the year, sure, that'd be cool. Especially in the winter would be sweet.
Give more of us in the winter. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Run a snow stage.
Because the summer is also the winter. Like there's no such thing as
winter. That'd be
awesome. I mean, that's the first thing I thought when Ryan said maybe May is faster. I think in May they're still trying to dig the road out in the snow, and into June and stuff, right? But yeah, so run a winter stage on there, and that would be interesting. That'd be cool. I think that's worth talking about. As it is, it's just they're taking those really unofficial times that multinational corporations are putting down on their dime, and they're taking those super unofficial times and making them semi-official. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
But, I think it'd be more interesting if, instead they did the same thing for all the hill climb roads in Colorado, right? You had, it's a, I don't know. I'm wandering off. I just think that it's more of the same, and I don't think that's what's going to help. I think at some point in the day, every one of us is struggling for relevance in each of our individual categories here, right? Whether it's time attack or gravel hill climb or something like that. We're always like, I think that what I'm doing is super cool. Why don't more people think that? Why don't I get more support? And I think Pikes Peak saying, hey, we're pretty cool. What if we made ourselves slightly more cool, slightly more often? I think it almost makes Pikes Peak less cool,
I think, well, so, all right, DP, you haven't weighed in on this. Where do you stand on it? What do you think?
Well, I'm intrigued as I'll get out, because I think I see both sides of the coin where, if you've got somebody who's never been and gets the opportunity for whatever reason, like, they get a windfall and they can get to one of those unofficial days to throw down a time, that's like, hey, I did this. And maybe like for us Joe Schmoes, like especially like me, I'm just a gamer dad with a great beard that likes to drive fast. Once in a while, it'd be cool to be able to say, hey, yeah, I had the opportunity and took it to run Pikes Peak. But also I think that it's interesting to Dussex's point that maybe they will move to a different time when maybe the weather will be more favorable for everybody. But I also see where like you're battling the mountain and all the things that come with that,
That is part of the race.
Yeah.
Is battling the mountain, finding the time, qualifying, all of that. That is part of the race. And that's why there's race times and then official non-race times. Like those are not the same thing.
So do I kind of misunderstand what's going on here? Because from what I understand, they're taking those, corporate test days that Volkswagen pays for or something like that, and they're just deciding to officially recognize those times. Is that right?
As an official non-race time. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So
non-race.
It doesn't open up any more opportunities for the grassroots racer.
No.
Not yet.
But
there's always hope.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
Armageddon, that'll be the hope. When it's just a free for all, anarchy race car free for all.
So
if they got rid of speed limits on that road, like with the Nurburgring, then there's your move.
All right.
So,
you know what? Before we even go down to this, which 156 corner road is more extreme, Pikes Peak or the Nurburgring? To me, it's Pikes Peak all the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
and not to mention the elevation change, but like the hazard, dude.
Elevation. Oh yeah, the danger involved, the elevation, the fact that it's all uphill. There's I think it flattens out. It might be like slightly down in the first section. There might be a slight descent at one point. But like Pikes Peak is an extreme road. No question. And I think it's more extreme than the Nurburgring. And there's no banking. Like even though the Nurburgring has the first section of banked road whatever, and they haven't really changed it since, like you don't get any of those benefits on Pikes Peak. It is a road, period.
Real roads are always more extreme, right? And I know the Nurburgring technically is a real road, but it's not. It's a racetrack that they accidentally let real cars on all year. Versus
accidentally
Pikes
on
Peak.
purpose, but yeah.
It's
technically they're both toll roads.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's but it's not. It's a racetrack. The Nurburgring is a racetrack with shitty runoffs. Is really all it is.
Right.
It's a one-way highway, arguably, whatever.
Right.
But so yeah, and nothing against the Nurburgring. It's cool. I've played it a lot on video games. I get it.
Sure.
I've played Pikes Peak a lot on video games too. But
they're both super challenging. But as far as like if you have a car, and so like, but here's the difference. There's a ton of measuring sticks for times on the Nurburgring. That's the thing. Like what a fast time is on the Nurburgring for like sedan, rear wheel drive, front wheel drive, you name it. Like there is a measuring stick for the time of the Nurburgring. So you take your car to the Nurburgring, you set a time, and like Porsche was just there, I think with the same was it the GT3 RS where they did some ridiculous time of like 6:34. Don't quote me on that, internet, but it was something like stupid fast. That there's people that are even like, is that even possible that they actually did it? Even though they're like, here's the full in-car view of them setting this time there, but then you go to Pikes Peak and like, well, that was 6 minutes at the Nurburgring, and at Pikes Peak it's 9:56. Like, well, 3 minutes slower. Yeah, which one is the harder challenge? Pikes Peak.
Yeah. Well, I just looked it up on Assetto Corsa because I was curious. But another road that's similar in personality, like turns and lengthwise, is Deal's Gap Patel the Dragon. And that's a road that's not open to racing at all, and it's just a public road. And I think it's somewhere between the danger of as far as runoffs and stuff go, between the hill climb and the but they have that on Assetto Corsa. Like, just the fact that kind of stuff is out there, and that road is kind of out there, that people are, they're putting these things together. So maybe the hill climb doing more. I don't know. I don't know why they don't do more events other than just the cost of it. But I don't know how people could even afford that.
Because it's a big cost
for the racers too. Like, I don't think you would have a whole lot of participation if you had a series. No, I say that, but you probably would. You just probably wouldn't get a whole lot of repeat customers. I don't know. But it does. Just when you said that about Tail of the Dragon or whatever, it made me think that you should do someone should do a time attack on roads that are like everyone's local, because every location that has like a car community has like their local stomping ground kind of thing. Where I grew up, it was Skyline Boulevard, on the peninsula in California. And, you go up there on a Saturday or Sunday and you had Ferraris with no plates on it and sport bikes with no plates on them up there just doing timed runs. running over road bikers and killing themselves in the redwoods and stuff like that, which you want to talk about a really unfriendly location to go off at speed.
Wow. Yeah.
Like sport bikes would go for what they call the century, where they try and average 100 miles an hour for the span of this road.
Wow.
And it's a road that is, it's got 15, 20 mile an hour, rated corners, like the little yellow signs that tell you how fast you should go around a corner. So it's, it was a pretty high risk, high speed, kind of run there and stuff like that. But how cool would it be to have a series across the country of, essentially a time attack or a time trial series of these real roads? And then, the next place that my brain went was, they do this in the UK. They have their road racing series for time trial motorcycles.
Yeah.
Isle of Man famously is one of them, but it's part of a series, I think. Or if Isle of Man is one off, there is a series of similar road racing,
I think
on
that's right,
sport
yeah.
bikes. So, that would be sick to do that with, take Skyline or one of the many roads around Skyline that are just,
Well,
man.
But you think about the logistics and like Tail of the Dragon, it's like I said, it's never been a sanctioned race there, probably because from a safety standpoint, it would be almost impossible to try and structure
if you wanted to
an event that would be safe there.
Corner marshals, you need 200
Right.
corner marshals.
And so,
so to an
I
was
extent,
just looking up Tail of the Dragon. It's 318 turns.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's double that's just insane.
That's crazy.
In 11 miles.
Wow.
It is crazy.
But if you had a series of whatever, Skyline, Tail of the Dragon,
right.
I'm sure that there's some Southern Californian out there right now going, no, my local canyon is right up there with them. Yeah, that one too. Pikes Peak, Mount Washington. There's got to be something in, other parts of the Appalachians too. Other roads around Colorado too.
So this is the advantage that Pikes Peak has, is that there is a race there. There is kind of a known safety formula for the race. And so maybe that's in part what has made this possible, that there's this accepted standard, and now you can just pay for all of that safety support and now at a time.
Road permissions too, right?
Right.
It's a toll road.
It's a toll road. Yeah. So yeah, you gotta, the rumor around the paddock or whatever, it's $1 million a day to rent. And maybe this is even more.
Yeah, grassroots opportunities are just flowing out of Pikes Peak right now.
Yeah, so start checking your couch for loose change. But here's all right. So to me, the first question is race time versus official non-race time. Like, are they comparable? Like, I would say that there's still more prestige in the race time than the official time, because you have all those abilities to make multiple runs, change setup, wait for perfect weather, than actually qualify and make your one time for the actual race time. Would you guys agree?
I agree.
I'm taking the codger standpoint here, and I don't give a shit what you do and not on race day. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like I could say,
but that's
I ran a 5 minute on, my video game at Pikes Peak. It doesn't matter, right? Like, just, you got to do it on the race day.
Right. So Brian, to your point, I think because it is more prestigious, that might still be enough of a lure to let some of these manufacturers still participate in the race, because it's not an official race time unless it's in the race. So like you know where you should fall. You've got kind of a ballpark, but like race day is race day, and whatever happens, and see what you can do there.
I do think that, and I kind of picked this up from Lonnie too. I do think that if you think that the hill climb is only the one race, that's the only part to the hill climb that it comes to the race, is just that's like I don't know, that's the shortest way to think about it. I mean, the race day involves all the prep, all the testing, tire warmers, no tire warmers, watching where you qualify, what run group that you're in. And I mean, there's so many things that go into the actual race itself that's not just driving. And then when you look at and when you look at a private test day, when you can drop like 2/3 of those variables out, like you go when you want. You can go multiple times. You can set your setup for the changing conditions. I mean, all those, you can run tire warmers if you want for as long as you want and then go. Like, I mean, there's so much more strategy on the race day that actually produces the result that you're either happy with or you're not. That I think that alone makes it what it is. Does that make sense?
Yes, 100%. But here's, like, in my thinking about it, this is where I actually got kind of excited about this possibility. Let's say there's a new car coming out. Let's use the GR Corolla as an example. Like, is it going to be good? Is it not going to be good? Is it going to be fast? Is it not going to be fast? So, like, a lot of car manufacturers, that's why they send new cars out to the Nurburgring, because, okay, now you have a time. You now know what the GR Corolla will do around the Nurburgring. You have all, like, the 2-3 cars above it, 2-3 cars below it in the same class, like sedan, whatever. You now know where that car lands and stacks up. You start getting all these times, and they run the GR Corolla up Pikes Peak, and now you know what that car does at Pikes Peak. And then you now know, like, okay, is this the real deal, or is this car just like a flash of the pan, or clever marketing?
But think about this. And the Top Gear guys, before they became Amazon Prime guys, said this all the time. Car companies ruin cars when they bring them to the Nurburgring because they're not relevant anywhere else.
Right.
Now, I would argue that the Nurburgring is infinitely more relevant to a road car than Pikes Peak is.
100%.
Pikes Peak is so
That's true.
unique in it's essentially a cooling challenge, right? It's a overcoming atmospheric density and then keeping your shit cool challenge is what Pikes Peak is a race about. So where if you had cars that were developed, am I dropping out? I'm seeing you guys jump around.
It was, I think, Dussex.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
So if you have cars that are developed and optimized for Pikes Peak, oh yeah, sick. Did you hear this car does sub 10s at Pikes Peak? And it's just a gigantic radiator sitting out front, and then weird boost strategies, and then you're sitting there in I-25 traffic waiting to roll race somebody, and you're like, oh sick, this car is developed at Pikes Peak, so it's got big ass radiator. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
turbo that doesn't overspool.
Right, exactly. Like it's I don't know if it has it's cool. Don't get me wrong. Again, I'll default to, yeah, sure, it's cool. But I don't see I don't see it being anything more than like for the manufacturers to go out there. It's like, yeah, sick, you're in Pikes Peak. Nice. Did you find anything useful for your road car? I mean,
well, but maybe they would. I don't know.
Yeah. I think High Plains. Go to High Plains or PPIR. I'd be way more interested in they tested their car at High Plains or at PPIR. Okay, cool. I mean, that's probably a fun car to drive. But Pikes Peak, like, I get it. You put a big radiator on it. Sweet.
I don't know.
So.
What DP, what do you think? If car sets a good time at Pikes Peak, is it going to be, to what degree is it going to convince you that car would be fun and or fast?
I'm not sure. I mean, because it's not relevant to like especially my situation when I'm commuting. Like, I mean, I'm 40 years old. I don't like roll race too often anymore, especially in my commuter car. But when I get a wild hair and I bring the platypus out, I know that I've crashed that car and I know that car in and out. But if I know, oh, that car was developed at Pikes Peak, okay, so what's it good at? It can stay cool, but is it going to stay too cool? Like, I mean, is it going to not have, is the thermostat not going to open? Am I going to be cold on a winter day if I drive this thing? Like, where's the, does it come with a stripped out chassis? Like, what's
like a
what
Pikes
kind of
Peak
things are they going to really put from the test car into the car that is like the production car? Is they're going to be like, oh, we stripped it out, took the heated seats out, put a regular, like a Sparco seat in or something. And it's like, well, but now it's not the same car.
And if it's, I would assume that whatever car they're running at Pikes Peak has to have a cage in it. Because, like, I think on the Nurburgring, you don't have to have a cage. I think maybe for the official times, maybe you do.
I mean,
maybe
if you're renting the mountain for your own test day, you can kill yourself if you want.
As long as it's not pre-planned. If you want to.
You can't have a plan really into
You can leave your cage behind.
Yeah.
If you're not caged with nobody's cage, well, there's your behind.
Yeah, well,
that's pretty good.
CDP's got it. I like this guy.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, if you can do it without a cage, then you can have like this. The car in stock trim did this time. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they took a car that was just straight up production line, like this is what we're gonna make, and ran it up,
Well,
and then shook it down, maybe they're like, okay, it was terrible here, here, and here, but it excelled at this. Maybe it didn't overheat, but the variable cam timing didn't actuate when it needed to for any of the power going up, so it was a dog. So back they go.
That is the interesting thing about Pikes Peak is you do have a lot of digs out of the hole, and then you have some top end, and then you have to have a turbo efficiency range that's super wide, right? Because it needs to be efficient at the relatively dense air versus the 14,000 foot air and stuff like that, right? So
the start line is 9,000 feet. There's no such thing as dense air up there.
Yeah, I'm at 9,000 feet right now. It seems fine.
Well, you spend way too much time there. That you're obviously oxygen deprived.
Yeah,
he's definitely, look what it's done to his facial hair.
It's all here.
Add a lump. He's a 3 beers in Tasso right now.
But no, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's not completely irrelevant, I guess.
Well, the car's going to have to handle well. It's going to have a good power band. That middle section is basically a series of drag races between like 207-degree switchbacks.
And the top is basically, Plaster City whoops too. With all the frost use. So
it's like on the Nurburgring, the reason that they say that, like the guys from Top Gear were saying that it ruins cars is because they keep putting on really stiff suspension and it's faster on the Nurburgring, and then it just destroys your back if you're driving on the street. If you do that up top of Pikes Peak, you are not going to do well. You're gonna go slow up there because those frost heaves and stuff. It is a flowing road, but it's a really rough surface that will catch you out if your suspension is too stiff.
Okay, I'm going to completely change my viewpoint here. It's way better than the Nürburgring as a test for cars because it's more like road rally, and the more rally type cars there are commercially available, the better. So I'm 100% in favor of these test days.
What's crazy? What I just thought of when we were talking to Reese Millen, what he said is that when early days racing, I think he said it was Eclipse or whatever, he put stock struts and springs back on because the suspension being stiff, it destroyed your ability to run up top.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I want
to. Could you imagine
more,
all the ride heights? They'll all be just like fucking 4x4 ride heights. People like hill climb certified, just like driving. I mean, when that car that Bentley they took up, I was like, man, that car looks so awkward.
Yeah,
like monster truck ride height.
Not the SUV, the sedan.
Yeah, the sedan. Yeah, like the GT3 car. Yeah.
Yep. Because Reese made them put on the softest springs that they had, and so they had to raise the car up so that they weren't just bottoming out the suspension. But like he would have set a record if they wouldn't have exploded the manifold.
Danger to manifold.
Yep. So we're gonna see 50 mil inverted, dampers on street cars now, and really high strut tops so we can actually fit bump travel into cars again. No more of this manufacturing ease stuff. So I switch. I'm 100% in favor of this. Let's do it.
Huzzah!
Let's go.
I just think
around to it.
The race time is going to be the prestigious time. In my mind, there's no doubt that is going to be the time that is most prestigious. But like being able to know where a lot of like modern cars stack up. Like, sure. I would love to know what is the new 4-cylinder Supra, the 6-cylinder Supra? What is their Pikes Peak time? What is the GR Corolla's Pikes Peak time? Take the new WRX. All right, what does a stock WRX do going up Pikes Peak? Like, I would love to know what that time is.
I ran a Jeep Liberty up there, and it was pretty slow. So
yeah.
Well, in fairness, though, I owned a Liberty. I know that it was terribly slow anyway.
They weren't so bad off a dig. They weren't bad. They didn't have the top end, though.
It was a manual, so it felt fast because it was a 6-speed, so you're just always banging gears. But then you realize that you're in 5th gear going 20 miles an hour, and you're like, oh.
I'm going to keep derailing this conversation and say that there hasn't been an official time at Pikes Peak since they put asphalt on that shit. So,
man,
it doesn't matter.
It's just got
real. It doesn't matter, yeah.
It did just get very real.
Okay.
Just coming at it.
Dirt is for racing. Asphalt's for getting there.
Okay.
Although, you know what? Asphalt is also for pits. I'm tired of pitting on dirt. So asphalt has two purposes.
Yeah.
Interstate highways and pit lane or pit areas. So
Okay.
So should we
Fair
like
enough.
start a trending hashtag for pave the pits? This could be
Oh,
something
there you
we
go.
could do.
Pave the pits.
Pave the
Yeah.
pits.
rally guys deserve covered pit space too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they paved the pit area in Pikes Peak a couple of years ago, and there was a rumor that there was going to be
Had
like
the
some kind of cover there, but
Oh man.
no.
Yeah. They could use some of the asphalt from the road and then just pave other stuff when they
Mhm.
scrub it all off.
Right.
So
There you go. Yeah, recycle it.
Yeah. It's
Nice.
green that way. That's
Yeah.
the new thing.
All right. Well, I think it was the if ultimately it gets more prestige and attention for the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, I think that will be an ultimate win for everybody. And I think that if it's another avenue to just everybody knows what the Nurburgring is, and I think the popularity of the Nurburgring worldwide is why so much happens there, like through the course of a year. I mean, if we can start getting a slice of that, just a sliver of it for the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, I think hill climb enthusiasts, everybody here in Colorado, that's a big win. So,
but remember, it's way cheaper to rent the Land's End Road, and there's not a person in the world that thinks that hill climb cars look better on asphalt than dirt. So,
well, I'm gonna say that there's probably like two. There's probably two of them out there. Not on this podcast, but they're out there. There's got to be somebody. No,
I'm either earning fans this podcast or I'm losing some. But either way,
Yeah.
welcome or see ya.
And your
Welcome.
Instagram insights, you lost 35 followers today.
that's yep. Oh man.
It was those people.
Yeah.
Maybe with
Yeah.
all of us up, it'll kind of just
Right.
It's worth saying I've never said anything that I wasn't willing to go back on. So,
Oh man. Okay.
under attack.
including that statement.
Including that statement. Okay, man. Well, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. It's going to be interesting to see, what effect does it have on next year's race and the race after? Like there's 2 times. Let's see what happens. Like how many other manufacturers are willing to come out there and put up a time now that they're making this official announcement? Is it just going to be a couple flashes in the pan, or is it something where all of a sudden manufacturers are really setting times, and what happens for the race? And honestly, to a certain extent, like Tasso, you're saying for the grassroots competitor, right? Okay, well, if the big dogs are just going to rent them out and set their official non-race time, but then you don't have all these big dogs that are like taking up all the pit spots and stuff at the race, maybe it actually leaves more room for the grassroots competitor on the actual hill climb. Maybe.
It's worth saying that anytime I watch Pikes Peak coverage, I don't care what. I mean, I was sort of interested to see what Volkswagen would do because that car is interesting technically,
Mhm.
but I wasn't rooting for them. I wasn't personally invested in how their race weekend went. When I watch Pikes Peak, I'm interested in how Scott Crouch or Rodney O'Malley or Spencer Steele or Tim Hardy or those guys
Yeah.
are doing. So those are the guys when I see their start, those are the guys I hold my breath to make sure they make it to the top, and then I want to see how they do. I'm invested in those guys. I don't care about the teams that have the money to go out and rent the hill climb or rent the hill to do some moonshot time. It hasn't made a difference in my viewership or interest in the hill before. The
Yeah.
grassroots guys are still the guys that have my heart. So there you go.
Yeah.
You're going to
for
go
the
back on
grassroots-
that statement too, aren't you?
Nah, yeah, yeah.
I don't think so.
Screw those
I don't think
guys.
so.
I only care about big money teams. The Formula One of hill climbs is what
Oh,
this
man.
is.
Okay.
If you can't put down a sub 7-minute time, then why are you even showing up?
Jeez. Well,
No.
to me, the privateers, like that's where the battle versus the mountain, that is where it is the most real. Like
Yeah,
when
Victor, Andy Kingsley. I want to see Andy really put down what he's capable of.
Yeah.
He's got a fast car. He's got
Mhm.
a fast foot. Let's put the two together. Let's
Yeah.
do it, man.
Yeah,
So-
well, it's because when Loeb was out there. I mean, that's what I got to see the most of firsthand, where you've got like they literally wheeled the car up on dollies. He's sitting in the car, It's not even running. They just wheel him into the start box. And then these guys come in with tires and tire warmers, and then they put them on the car, but it's still up on these dollies and on jack stands. And they're just sitting there watching, the time and like looking at the weather, and then like, okay, I think we're ready. And within 1 minute, the tire warmers were off, the car's on the ground, it's fired up there, and then it all goes, and he's just sitting there, all right, do your thing, and like,
I'm just getting like anxious just thinking about it.
but it's like for like somebody like Andy or Scott or the Privateers, Spencer Steele, any of those guys. I mean, it's like it's you and a couple of your buddies that are up there like for like 24, 36 hours trying to like qualify, get the car ready and do your best. I mean, you are fighting the elements and the time and everything like that. Whereas like those big production teams, the driver is still doing an amazing thing, but
Sure.
they have so much more support. Like that battle against the mountain and against the elements. I mean, it is not the same for those guys as it is for all the privateers.
No, and it's cool. Like I said, I mean, I don't really like watching NASCAR, but I appreciate it for what it is. I don't really care so much to watch another Volkswagen IDR run, or I would watch, bring the Audis and like the T16s back and stuff like that. I'd watch the hell out of that shit. But the newer Peugeot and stuff like that, it's cool. I mean, great. It's better than something
pretty
else,
great.
I guess, right? But yeah, Ryan, I want to see what you do. I want to see Chris Strotch with his crazy twin turbo center seat LS Porsche thing, right? Like I want to see that thing actually hold together for a run. I'm tired of seeing the coverage where he's pulled off, halfway up, kind of something like that, because he's built a monster of a car that he's trying to keep together on a roofer's budget, right?
But that's why the race time is the prestigious one, because like that exact same thing happens and you've rented the mountain, you just roll it back down to the pits. Oh, this hose came loose or whatever, and you fix it.
Wait, we need to remachine a transmission real quick. Hold on, we'll just fire up our machine shop real quick, like it. Yeah. I don't know. I've stood on so many mountains this podcast and died on all of them. So,
okay. Well, I hope it's a good thing. I hope manufacturers do it. I hope we start to see like a handful of times. I want to see a sedan, whatever. Let's see some times out there, and then
Wagon life.
Yeah.
What?
Like,
bring out the wagons.
Yeah, like what's the fastest wagon time of Pikes Peak? All right, let's find out. Yeah.
Let's Forester around and find out.
Okay. Yeah. Why not? Why not? All right. Well, we'll do a GoFundMe so the Flatirons Tuning can rent the mountain, and then we'll just all see who the fastest up Pikes Peak is.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Do Lands End. Let's restart Lands End bottom to top times.
Okay. Start a different trend.
It's got like nearly as many turns, and it's cooler because dirt.
And it also isn't that the one that starts at 9,000 feet?
That might be Monarch.
Monarch.
It's pretty high. There's a waterfall and shit, so it's pretty cool.
Pikes Peak doesn't have a waterfall.
No water.
No water.
Just frozen water.
Yeah. All right. Well, as we're wrapping it up, let's see what have we learned here. Tires are important.
The most important. Only important thing.
Tires are important. Not the most important.
Can we make this a bad advice podcast moving forward?
The next
we can do this
seriously. Yeah. Can we do it, or at least a bad advice 5 minutes?
But and then we've also all right. Well, let me summarize where we're at, and
then
we can give 5 minutes of bad advice, and I don't know, for anybody that wants.
OTC Racing Tech Talk will be coming up. Stay tuned.
But then also that the race time at Pikes Peak, that is the prestigious one, but we'll have to see. But I think it might be cool to have these other official times, and it should be you versus the mountain. Asphalt is for getting to the race. Dirt is for running the race. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the summary for today.
That's the gist.
That's the gist. Yeah. All right.
Wagon.
All right, Tasso. 5 minutes of bad advice. Go.
Oh man. Okay, I need everybody's help on this. So what's something that you believe about race cars?
Lighter's faster. Lighter's faster.
Yeah, I mean to an extent, but you got to be heavy if you want to really make an impact. All right, Ryan Dussex.
Well, people, I'm gonna cap right onto what you said there too. And people are always in the hunt for downforce. extra weight is static downforce.
Static downforce.
Static every time.
Static
Okay.
downforce trumps all other forms of downforce because it is always there. It is the
Always
most
there.
predictable.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
downforce, like aero downforce, it's always changing. You got to go fast to use it.
Mhm.
Static
Yeah.
downforce will never let you
Mhm.
down. Well,
We'll call
actually,
it gravitas.
static
Gravitas is what
downforce
it
will
is.
never let you up.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh,
But
dang.
what
Nah,
about
that's
the most
too- that's too
important
good
of
of
the
advice.
weight, though? Eat
Yeah.
that extra cheeseburger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Maybe
Uh-huh.
have that deep fried pizza wrapped in bacon before
Yes,
the track, before
that's
you
right.
get on track.
It's going to
Because
help.
you are
It's
the
gonna
most
give you grip.
static of your own downforce.
That's right.
That's
All
your
right.
driver mod,
Yeah.
right?
The
Fried
driver
food
mod
and
is the
beer?
static downforce. Yes. All right,
I don't
DP.
condone any of these statements.
Except
You
for the
wanted
fried food
them.
and
You
beer.
asked for them. You specifically
This
asked for
was-
them.
Yeah,
Nah,
this
this
is
got-
supposed to be.
This went off
You
the
brought
rails.
this
This is
up.
going to be
real
taken
fast.
out of context.
Very quickly.
Oh man.
You
Yeah.
suck. It doesn't matter what you think. Just everybody in car racing. If you were smart, you wouldn't have done this in the first place. So, whatever. I don't know
Well,
what
I
else is
guess-
there out there.
Yeah, to make a small fortune in racing, start with the large one.
Yes.
We
I
can't
got
do
another
cliches.
good piece of bad advice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buying proper tires are the last thing you should do. You'll never be a good driver running on race tires. You'll always be a better driver learning how to track drive on all seasons. Been out there.
No,
It's out there.
But that's
Been
actual good advice. I like driving on
Yeah,
bad
that's-
tires every once in a while.
I mean,
It's a lot of fun.
from the good advice,
Yeah.
you have to have a good baseline. You can learn so many bad. This is getting too serious. You can learn so many bad habits on crappy tires. Trust me.
Yeah.
I
Like
know.
sliding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to have a good baseline. So that if the good bad advice is wait till you're at the end of your build before you even buy your first set of good tires. 900 horsepower, you better be on 195 all seasons. Just saying.
Oof.
Just saying. Oh,
All right. I got the next point here.
okay.
No one cares if you're a fast driver in a slow car because you're still going slow. The only thing
Still
that
going
matters is
slow.
the stopwatch. You
Fast
could be
driver in a slow car.
if you have a fast enough car, it doesn't matter how bad you are, you'll still go faster than that fast driver in a slow car. And, no one's going to care. So you might as well go
Okay.
fast.
All right, DP, do you have any bad advice?
Um,
Bad perspective?
Well, that was, because I like going fast in my slow car because it feels
Ah.
fast.
Personal attacks.
I'm like, I
Mm.
feel attacked because I have a 90 horsepower commuter car that may or may not have a hybrid electric system on it. and
It's fun. I don't
It's
care.
a riot, but
Yeah,
I
it's-
mean,
Oh, is that your Prius?
yes,
Mhm.
that's my
Okay,
Prius.
so I've jumped a
That's-
Prius. I've driven
that's
them around
Prius,
aggressively and
Princess
stuff
Tiptoe
like
is
that.
her name,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and yeah,
Priuses are sick. I
I
have
dig it.
nothing
I love the
against
hell out of
Prius.
that car. It
Yeah.
is the most fun, cheap car
Yep.
I've ever bought for $3,000. Like you couldn't.
Yeah.
Bad advice or bad advice, good advice.
Bad
I think you
advice.
just
I
said it. A
forgot.
Prius is a
Good,
good
bad
track car.
advice.
Good, bad
A
advice.
Prius is a good track car. I think
Prius
that's
is an awesome track car.
That
It's
fits.
well balanced and does the things.
Front wheel drive is the fastest. Duh.
Yeah,
Oh.
I mean, because it does
Yeah.
both things. Driving, like you're
Yeah.
pulling the car along while you're steering. It has to. It's
Mhm.
doing more, so it must be
Mhm.
faster.
It's the
Makes
same
sense.
reason why motorcycles are faster than touring cars because there's only two wheels. Psh, more people should be out there doing two-wheel things than front-wheel drives.
And
Only
if
two wheels.
motorcycles were front wheel drive, they'd be faster.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Dude.
Pulling themselves out of
Wow.
corners. They wouldn't be wheeling, dude. You know,
Yeah.
they
They would. Yeah, you
Yep.
wheelie, you lose the traction, you can't steer. A front-wheel drive
Yeah.
motorcycle. Why has this not happened?
Yep.
Front-wheel
This
drive
should
motorcycle.
happen.
Yep.
Okay, the last key summation of this podcast is front-wheel drive motorcycles are the future.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
This.
Mhm.
Okay.
And electric sounds better than internal combustion.
Ooh. Electric sounds better than internal combustion.
Oof.
Going at me, bro.
Yowza. We are
Dang.
going to get letters for this.
Yeah.
That is Tasso OTC Racing, or over there, wherever he is. Tasso
right
at
there.
OTC Racing will answer
There.
all of your
You're welcome to
questions.
bitch at me. Just do me two favors. One,
Mhm.
do it in like a comment on one of my posts because that way it'll help boost those things in the algorithm.
And
So I don't
like and
care.
subscribe. That's two.
And the other one is that I don't care.
Okay. And like and subscribe.
Oh yeah,
like
and subscribe.
and hit that little
No,
bell.
I do
bell.
care. I
You
will
know what?
absolutely. If somebody wants to have man, I love trash talking so much, but people sometimes take it too seriously. So if you took this whole thing seriously, then that's on you, bro.
Make sure you
Yeah.
cut this part out of the context. Make
Yeah,
sure that's
right.
only the good advice being portrayed as good
Right.
advice.
We
Yeah.
might put up all the bad advice together.
Life's too short to take anything seriously, including car racing. So,
Yes, very true.
It's still got to
That-
be fun
A
in some
sage piece of
regard.
wisdom to end on. I like it.
yeah.
Yes. Well, all right. That's as good a place as any to end, and we should really stop this now because it's only
Wait.
going to get worse.
I want to hear about the Gold Rush.
Oh, Gold Rush.
Mm.
Gold
Quick-
Rush.
quick 5
This sounds wild.
Wait. So this is now 5 minutes of good advice about an exciting event coming up.
How far in are we right now?
Yeah.
Like an
1
hour
minute,
and
1
10
hour,
minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
10 sick. Yeah,
minutes.
this is perfect. Everyone will be listening at this point. So
Yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
guys. Sick. Yeah, highlight this chapter.
Just make sure
with
we
it's
cut
good
this one
advice,
out
and
for
then
YouTube
5 minutes
highlight.
later, it's
Yeah.
Gold
Yeah.
Rush. So people are like, what the fuck?
All right. Well,
This is
tell us
good.
what
This
it is.
reminds me more of our original podcast where it was just us shooting the shit.
Yeah.
I like this.
We're going to get back to that a bit, I think.
So Gold Rush, quick, it's a combined motorsports event that has time attack, what we call PDX, which is basically HPDE for everybody else out in the world. We're going to have an exhibition enduro that's going to be Saturday night. That's going to be free to endurance drivers, kind of like GLTC, ST4 kind of types of cars, and slower. And we're going to have a car show, which everyone knows that is not my strong suit. So we're working on trying to build car show stuff, and
Well, and Dussex,
and we're gonna get away.
first, say who we is. You said a lot of we's.
We is Pikes Peak International Raceway is putting this on. I'm working with them as DSX Motorsports, working with them. The biggest part about this event, the coolest part about it, is that it's a $50,000 cash payout time attack event with other motorsports things happening. So our feature is a big payout for time attack. So we've got first one to break the existing track record, which currently is a 53.233 set by Ferris Khartoumi in a Corvette. So that's $10,000 if you can be the first one to break that. Then as fastest overall, that's another $10,000. That might be the same person. It could be two different people. And then for unlimited, we've got a big chunk payout for unlimited. I'm looking for my notes here. Big chunk payout for we got a class that's called Super 200, which is a 200 treadwear class. It's open to basically aftermarket subframes, aftermarket drop spindles, open on tire sizes. There's no limits there. No limits on aero. The only limit is no nitrous and no propane. And
Why
then
no
you'll go
propane?
down.
You're saying you
Well,
can't
I think-
grill?
Yeah, what the heck?
No, yeah,
Guys
you
gotta
can't
eat.
be out there grilling the hot dogs and the sausages out there on the track. I know people
Are you
use
saying
their
that's
rear
not
wings
safe?
for
Yeah.
sandwiching, but
Okay.
so no propane. And I say that because we might get diesel guys, right? And
Yeah.
and propane is like a power adder,
Yeah.
which I'm pro nitrous and propane and unlimited. But there is also more safety stuff involved in unlimited.
Sure.
Unlimited is like Outback Steakhouse. Anybody know the Outback Steakhouse quote motto?
For a reputation you can ride on.
Nope. No
All-
rules, just right.
Oh.
That's unlimited. Yeah, Outback
Okay,
Steakhouse. No
okay.
rules, just right. Safety rules, don't die. And then we've got another class that's called Classic 200. So it's also a 200 treadwear class, but it's limited to 245s for all-wheel drive. So maximum width 245s
Whoa.
and maximum width 275s for two-wheel drives. And this is one-way adjustable coilovers or shocks, stock subframes, stock spindles. So you're not coming in with anything super, super crazy, but it's open and aero. I'm going to hear it already. What about sequentials? Don't care. Bring them. What about aero? Bring your crazy aero. What about this? I don't care. This track, Pikes Peak International Raceway, is such a unique track that you have to have power and a ton of mechanical grip. And so when you put those limitations on tire widths, then you're really limiting like amount of stuff that you can do both in the aero side, like the banked oval side, and on the infield side. So a lot of people are going to hate on me about the classing and stuff with the tire widths not being like global time attack or super lap battle or whatever, or power to weights like NASA. And this is ultimately a standalone event that we're doing, Pikes Peak International Raceway is doing. And this is the big kicker. It's the weekend after the Pikes Peak International Hill Climb. So
Ah,
bring your
you,
hill
you
climb
might have
car.
might have a couple
hang out
people in
with
the
guys.
neighborhood.
Yeah, we might have a couple people, a couple big guns in the neighborhood. There's a couple big names I can't wait till they sign up to announce. But there's some hill climb, some big hill climb talent has sent us addresses for personalized invitations. That's not a guarantee that they're coming, but there's some, like, I hear some of these names, I'm like,
He's frozen.
Oh no. What a
He
time to
gets so
drop.
excited he froze.
You can't even get the words out.
Yeah, so I'll finish up for him here. So
Yep.
I hear some of these
Yep.
names and I'm like, holy smoke, good boy, let's go.
This is
All
gonna
you
be
were to win.
awesome.
right. You dropped out
Oh yeah,
again.
thanks.
Yeah,
I was
Thanks.
filling
and
in for
Tasso
you.
filled in for you perfect.
Yeah,
He
I was
nailed
trying
it.
to do my
Thanks,
best
Tasso.
Appalachian American for you.
Hell yeah,
Well,
brother.
so
Hell
so
yeah.
first, Dussex, where can people go to find information about this event?
www.ppir.com/Gold Rush.
And I'll put
we
up a
have-
link in the description.
Yep.
And I'll
And-
probably
and
throw
on there-
something over my face right now. Yep.
It'll have our classing. Classing is pretty much set. We'll have an updated rule book where it shows mostly the safety stuff for the cars like an unlimited and things like that. It'll have we'll have the schedule up there so people can see the schedule. The schedule means business. Like you're going to see, it's going to be a really unique schedule, I think, for Time Attack. It's the way I think the Time Attack schedule should be. Basically taking everything that I've learned from doing this stuff all over the country and really trying to apply it to this event. It'll have our driver application. So if you think that you're interested in this event, get your driver application in now. The PDX is going to be open once we have registration, which should start opening around the end of November or sometime in December. But if you those driver applications for any of the Time Attack classes, it's going to be they're going to be vetted drivers. So we want to make sure that the classes are balanced. So if you don't hear something right away, a big part of it is trying to make sure that we don't have 50 unlimited cars and then none of this or none of that. We don't want. I'm putting a limit on the amount of Time Attack cars that can register, which is 70. 70 is the limit for Time
It
Attack
still
cars.
seems like a lot. 70 is a pretty good number.
It is a lot, but I want to make sure that the classes are all represented well. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I don't want to have 3 cars in one class and have 10 dudes waiting in my inbox trying to get into the event, but got pushed out by 10 other types of cars. So that's a big part of the vetting process as well. So it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be July 1st and 2nd of 2023.
All right. And what is just amazing about this is like some would say that this is one of the things that's been missing from Time Attack, which is like a purse. Like this is not just going out for bragging rights. PPIR, what is insane is you guys are throwing down serious monies for if people can set these records. Like if you're like if I remember you saying that you're wondering if Ferris Khartoumi was kind of sandbagging when he was out there for Grid Life to make sure he didn't reset his record, so he would know that he could at least reset his record if he comes out for this, because like that's a payday. Like if you set the fastest time and you set the overall record, like you're leaving with a relatively large check. And we should also mention, like, all of these checks are basically on the size of billboards, right? It's a very large check.
I hope I want big billboards, but I also want stacks of cash too.
Okay.
You get your picture billboard, but I'm really.
Tasso, can you fill in?
Yeah, really love that money. I tell you what, I want to see that money.
I want to see stacks and stacks of
and-
cash. Yes,
Big
absolutely.
fat stacks.
I want to ask him who's like. I'm guessing you got some sponsors to thank for these ridiculous payouts, right? Or is PPR doing this?
I think it's PPIR, isn't it?
Yeah,
Shit,
PPIR is.
That's pretty
The
badass.
2 owners are fronting the cash, so.
That is
Wow.
an amazing statement from them as far as how excited they are about what Time Attack is and what. I mean, we know that the venue can put on the event because Grid Life has been out there for the last handful of years. It's a statement just to how excited they are about bringing that community back for another event. And
Yeah, it's badass. It's badass, and considering they're the new Nurburgring, PPIR will now be the base that all cars are judged on in the world.
wait, does this mean that PPR is now the measuring stick for Time Attack in the U.S.?
It's the only real Pikes Peak in my mind after this kind of payout. So I don't know. I've never heard of the other PPIHC. So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
PPIR.
Got
Oh
it.
man, I'm gonna piss off a bunch of hill climb people
Man.
now.
It's
But
at
no,
the end.
that's
Only the hardcore people are going to hear this, except for when we
yeah,
take this and put this out by itself. But that's okay.
Pikes Peak Hill Climb guys don't have more than 10 minutes of patience anyway. So
Oh, dang.
Well, it's maybe 11 minutes. 11 minutes.
love for everybody. No, but that's really badass. I mean, that's that's sick. I hope it pulls some like some fucking iron in there, right? Like
Yeah.
I hope some guns show up.
I hope it's going to be a good event, and I hope it goes off so well that you guys can do it again the year after and the year after that.
Absolutely. And hopefully it spawns more PPIR events too that aren't necessarily at PPIR. Like when you guys talk about the hill climbs and stuff like that and roads, I keep thinking about what's it going to take to get that Central City hill climb going again.
Mm.
Maybe some kind of mustard like this.
Tasso?
Maybe some of that mustard on that hot dog. I tell you what, it's tasty on that tube meat.
That's right.
Oh
The fastest grill. The fastest grill
man,
up the
fastest grill in the West. I tell you.
That's right. That's what it's going to
We
take.
filled in for you. No, like the pit rally, which is what the Central City
Yep.
Hill Climb was. That would be sick. There's so many good roads out here. I don't know. There's no reason, asphalt, dirt, whatever. There's no excuse for not having more real road racing happening in Colorado. And I mean, we always talk about chicken and the egg issues, right? Like it's, well, if only more big money was in motorsports, then it'd be more popular. If only it was more popular, there'd be more big money in motorsports. PPIR just threw down chicken eggs all at once right here.
That's right. And they're grilling.
Yeah. You
And they're
can't break
grilling,
some
but not on
chickens.
propane on
Can't
track.
break some chickens
Not
without
on
making
propane
some
on
eggs.
track.
I'll tell you
Charcoal
what, so.
only.
Yes.
Only
Boy,
charcoal.
Boy, I tell you what. So.
Yep. Man, it sounds awesome. And in Dussex, maybe just throw this out to them, some kind of a rally sprint with a purse, because I hear tell you guys have a pretty good course out there,
I don't know. Some of those corners are no good.
Except for that one. We're going to have to re-texture that one corner.
Except for that one corner. It's got some gouge marks in it now.
That's right.
But no, yeah, that would be sick to do rally sprint stuff. Like just do just an unlimited dirt class too on the rally sprint course out there. And
that would be interesting.
I think if this first year goes well, I think this is going to open us up to the whole venue. Like it's crazy that they're down to put $50,000 up front for this event. So I gotta show them that it works first. So everybody's got to come out, have a good time, no matter what.
Spectate, tell everybody, tell your friends, tell everybody that that has a fast car
or a slow car,
or
a slow car.
Maybe a car that looks good but isn't real fast.
Charcoal
Prius. If you got a Prius, come on out.
Prius. Put a grill in the Prius and
keep talking.
Something.
Yes.
Something.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter beyond a grill
Put
and
a big
Prius.
stack on it, like just pipe a little like.
If we've said something that either made you mad or made you laugh or made you happy this podcast, the way that you can show us that you're angry / happy with us is going to check out the Gold Rush.
Yes.
So.
Oh hell yeah.
And like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe, smash that like button, pound that bell.
Hit that bell. Bing, 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 bing.
Yeah, back up hard up on that.
Join us on the Discord. Join us on the Discord and tell us what you think. Yeah. And Dussex and Tasso, you gotta get in there more. You gotta get in.
Oh.
Get into the Discord.
Just dive in.
Just dive it in.
You want me in your Discord?
Don't fall into the Discord. Dive in.
Yeah.
It's a lot better that way.
Wow. This is all right. I think we need to wrap this up because it's only going to get worse from here.
We fully derail
or better. I think we're kind of fully derailing. So the last bit is charcoal is better than propane. That is the last piece of information that we have in this podcast offered up for you. So thank you very much for listening. Thanks for your support as always. Join us in our Discord. Thank you very much to our patrons because we have a Patreon now. We're going to try and get more going on into the Patreon page, but if you're there, you're watching this early. So thank you for all your support there. And until next time, as always, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning and check out the Gold Rush and OTC Racing and DSX Motorsports and like and subscribe, ring the bell, all the things. All the things.
All the things and the stuff.
All right. Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Flatirons Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. Once again, we'd like to let you know that your support is what makes this show possible. Be sure to check out our online store at flatirons.com for any of your aftermarket or OEM Subaru parts needs. And as always, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.